Great time to plant tomatoes at the moment. So a bit of a side dressing with some dolomite when you first plant. That'll add a bit of calcium in the soil, which will help with a few problems that can come up later on. But I want to talk about the varieties of tomatoes that you can plant. So you've got indeterminate tomatoes and determinate tomatoes. Determinate means that they're shorter growing and they'll only need one smaller stake on them. Indeterminate are the ones that just keep going and grow to the heavens, kind of like these big ones behind me. So cherry tomatoes are a really good example of indeterminate tomatoes that will just keep growing and growing and growing. So make sure your staking is really, really good, or you've built some sort of frame or trellis for them to grow on to start with, and not halfway through the growing season, because you can damage your plants. So Trusty is a fabulous tomato, indeterminate, so it grows quite tall. Forms a medium-sized fruit, but on a small truss as well. So you're going to be picking 4 or 5 tomatoes in a truss of these guys. We've also got the sweet truss, which is slightly smaller, it's so more like a cherry, and again just grows in lovely trusses of tomatoes. Black Russian, a really good old favourite, the most amazing dark purpley black fruit. They actually pick well, sit on the bench for a few days to ripen up and become quite soft, but very, very tasty, a good old-fashioned tomato. Pot prize is excellent to go into pots, or also to grow in the garden bed. It is a determinate one, so it's a smaller growing tomato. It's a nice chunky bush, gets a nice thick stem, and it can hold itself quite well. Yellow tomatoes also look fabulous in your salads, and just to add a bit of difference in your tomatoes. The good old-fashioned grosses. My grosses are just starting to set fruit now, and my first one weighed 250 grams. So a nice big juicy tomato. And there's also the good old-fashioned tomato berry. Probably not quite old-fashioned, been around for a few years now, has a beautiful pointed fruit. Again, larger than a cherry, but smaller than your average fruit. Big, long trusses, probably about 10 to 12 fruit per truss on these guys. Very prolific, very hardy against our pests and disease problems that we can get in Queensland as the weather gets warmer. Remember to feed your tomatoes, they're hungry, they grow quickly. Use a good liquid fertiliser and keep the watering very consistent. If it's influx and less, then you can get problems with fruit drop.